everybody, it's Christina from Card Making Magic. Spellbinders dies make beautiful additions to your cards, but sometimes you may want a backing paper that will match the stamp, the die that you're using. And so in that case we're going to make stamps from the dies, and you can do this with any of the dies that you have, but for mine I'm using the small feather dies. So to this card I've added some of the feathers, but I've created the background to match the feathers with craft foam. So this is craft foam, it's very cheap, you can buy it in most craft shops, and what you're going to do is take the die of your choice, and I'm going to use this big one, and we're just going to snip off some of the craft foam to fit the die. Okay, now what we need to do now is run this through the die cutting machine, and we need to emboss it as well so that we've got the grain into the craft foam. So once you've die cut and embossed it, this is what you will have in your craft foam. Okay, so you've got a really pretty shape. You can see the lines in the foam. Now we need to add this to a foam block so that we can stamp our image with it. Now to add this to an acrylic block, what I need to do is spray the wrong side of it with some stick and spray, and this is a temporary glue that will hold this in place. So I'm just going to pop it down on there because I've already sprayed it, and I'm just going to add it to my block. Okay, so there's your stamp now ready to use. Now what I'm going to use is Sea Spray from Spellbinders Celebrations, and it's a nice turquoise colour that I'm going to do on my card. My piece of card is bigger than I need, and I've got it on a craft mat. So what I'm going to do is just add my stamp to my card, and I'm going to add it down in random places, and I'm going to second generation stamp and then third generation stamp, and I'm going to go all over that piece of card until it's covered with some lovely feathers. Now once you've inked your stamp up, the first time you place it down on your card it's a strong colour. That's your first generation. The next time you place it down it's a little bit lighter. That's the second generation, and you may get a third generation off it, but it goes paler each time. Now once you've used this, if you wanted to change colours, just clean it off, but you can a few times use a stamp cleaner, but it is only craft foam, so it won't last forever and ever. It's not like an acrylic one or a rubber one. You can peel it off if you wish and store it on some acetate, but that's just really a temporary stamp. Now once you've gone all over your paper, you'll have all your different generations of stamp, and these are some that I've cut down to the size that I want, and I've used different coloured inks. Now you can also stamp out extra feathers, and you can cut these out with your scissors, and these will be ready then to add to your card. And all I've done with mine is cover them with clear embossing powder. So let's make a card. So I've cut myself a base card. I've created a smaller mat in a paler shade of turquoise, and there's my cut down piece that's been stamped on. From any little doily die, or you can use paper doilies if you wish, I've cut myself a shape, and I've also cut myself a tag that I'm going to use on the card. I've cut myself some feathers, and I'm going to add those in, And from the sentiments die I've also cut a sentiment, but I've cut it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times, and I'm going to glue all those together. Now this top panel that I've stamped, I've also embossed just to give it a little bit more texture. And this is the piece now that I'm going to add to my card. So I'm adding it to this panel. Make sure it's stuck down. And then I'm going to start adding in the other pieces before I add this to the base. Okay? So the first thing I'm going to do is pop this in place. And I'm going to add that off centre up towards the top of the card. And I'm just going to add it with some wet glue flat to the card. But I'm not gluing down these edges. Now the next thing I want to do is add in this little panel. And again, I'm not adding it to the centre of the card. I'm just going to add it off centre along there. Oh, and before I do, I'm going to pop the ribbon underneath. Now once I have these in place, I've added just a little bit of foam pad to the back of my feathers, and I'm going to pop these along the panel. So I'm just going to pop one there. I've got another piece of foam tape on this, and I'm going to double that piece of foam tape up just to make it a little bit higher. So I've cut my foam pads to fit, and I'm just going to add that in along there. And then this one I'm going to pop in along the bottom there. So once I've got my feathers in place, I'm just adding a little bit of shape to the petals, and then I've created a bow, and I'm just going to sit the bow on the end of the feathers where the stems are, and then over that I'm going to add in a little shiny dazzler. Now with the sentiments that you created, if you remember, I said I'm going to glue them all together, and that gives some depth to my sentiment there, and that's just going to sit along the top just there, and we'll add that with some glue so that can sit along there. And then I'm ready to add all this to my base card. So just to add a little bit more embellishment, I've found some little turquoise pearls in my bit box, and these are from Want to Scrap, and all I'm going to do is just dot some of these, not a lot, just on the feathers in random areas. And that to me now just finishes that off rather nicely, and I'm quite happy with that. There we go. So that's one that we've done in turquoise, and there's one that I did earlier in pink, and on this odd leaf I've just put some pearl swirls. So there you have two very pretty cards. The pink one has had the feathers cut from parchment. But for these ideas and more, please visit my website, which is cardmakingmagic.com, and every day I add a new card to my blog at Flowers, Ribbons and Pearls.